Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about how to heal your trauma. So I noticed when I was going back and reviewing all of my videos that I mention therapy so often, but honestly therapy can be very expensive and not accessible to a lot of people. So I decided, why not create a video on how to actually heal your trauma based on all the things I've learned by going to therapy for over a year. And huge disclaimer guys, I am not a therapist, I am not in the healthcare profession at all, but I have been attending therapy for over a year now, and I've learned one or two things about how to actually overcome your trauma and ensure that you're living your absolute best life. Again, guys, this is not life advice, but this is just a few things that I've learned in a step-by-step guide for those of you that really want to overcome your trauma but just can't afford to go to therapy, or therapy is just not an option for you. So grab a cute drink, a pencil, and a paper, and let's get right into healing. Okay guys, so I'm having an iced matcha latte, and it's this pack that I bought from Amazon. I'll try to link it in the description for you guys. And basically just some soy milk, and there's this really cool trick when it comes to making your matcha latte actually taste like Starbucks, and it's adding a little bit of vanilla essence into your matcha latte. So that's basically what I did today, and yeah, it tastes pretty similar. So if you're into matcha, try this out. All right, so before we step into how to actually overcome your trauma, I want to talk about the importance of overcoming trauma. It is so crucial that whatever trauma that you've had, whatever feelings that you have about certain issues, certain people, situations, you try to overcome that. Because there's going to come a point where all of that is going to catch up to you, and it's not going to be for the better. So I highly recommend that this guide to healing your trauma, try it out, see how it works for you. Also, there are a ton of fabulous resources online that can help you overcome your trauma as well. Choosing not to overcome your trauma is basically not allowing yourself to process your feelings, process the things that you've been through to actually live an authentically happy life. And what that equates to me is let's say you've gone through something, right? And it's almost like you're waiting for that person to come back and stitch you back together. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to stitch yourself back together and to come into a place of full acceptance of what's happened to you and moved forward from that. It's so crucial and important that all traumas are kind of addressed, and sometimes this can take a lifetime to do, but the process of starting is so essential and a part of becoming so self-aware of who you are as a person and having a true authentic sense of self. I really want to preface the first chapter before we step into it to let you guys know that there are going to be a few things we're going to talk about during this chapter that might be slightly triggering or might just overwhelm your feelings. So please, if there's any time during this first chapter where you do not feel comfortable, you do not feel safe, step away from your device, do a little bit of breath work, compose yourself, come back if you feel like you're ready, or please skip further into the video where we talk about practical tips on how to overcome your trauma. It's completely okay. I am right here. You can get through this. Chapter number 1, reflect and explore your trauma. Basically what this chapter is all about is reliving your trauma. And this is why I put the trigger warning there, because you're literally going to have to put yourself back in that place that you were in to relive those feelings. Because let's think about it, guys. As time passes, we tend to forget. We forget the trauma we've been through. We forget how people treated us. We forget all the childhood memories that we have. We suppress how we feel about things. So in order to actually properly address those and to remember, we need to go back in time. We need to relive those experiences, allow ourselves to have those feelings again, cultivate how it felt to be in that moment. And one thing I highly recommend here is go into your camera roll and literally go back in time. Okay, go back in time to your photos at the times where your trauma was there. Whether that's through a breakup, romantic breakup, friendship breakup, family issues, maybe childhood trauma that you've been through. Go back to those times, look at yourself in those pictures, and look at the pictures you took during those times. Because that's going to kind of set the stage for you on how you felt during those times. And then we can use those feelings to actually acknowledge and move through that. At this stage, I recommend that you get a notebook and you create kind of a brainstorming bubble. And you're just going to kind of write down every trauma that you've been through and allow yourself to kind of see it from a whole picture perspective. So what I would do is write, trauma from my breakup, trauma from a friendship, maybe fear of being alone. It might be abandonment wounds from when I was a child. So just really dive into it and see what your traumas are from this brainstorming perspective. Actually, one of the things that I did when I realized that I still needed to heal from a breakup and the trauma from that is I used to listen to the voice notes that I would send my friends during the time that I was going through that breakup. So all of the things that that partner was doing to me, how anxious I felt, how just overwhelmed I felt about life and my emotions, and I would hear myself cry and just kind of think in a way that me now wouldn't think, but I realized I had unresolved feelings for that situation. And being able to listen to those voice notes allowed me to relive that trauma, to have those feelings of anxiousness and everything come back up so I could actually explore it and determine where the root cause of that was coming from. Now, huge trigger warning, guys. It can be very, very hard to have to go through your emotions and turmoils and everything again and to relive and kind of like bring up all of the feelings that come from those traumas. I remember I actually cried when I listened to some of the voice notes because I realized I was like, oh my gosh, like, how did I feel this way? Like, I forgot how I felt. I forgot how everything made me feel. And you know what? At the end of the day, though, that is exactly what I needed to really sit with myself and determine what the root cause of that was, and to evaluate how I treated myself and other people during that process. So I highly recommend take time to do this. Don't do this all in one day. You're going to feel so incredibly overwhelmed and just like want to give up. Allow yourself to take the time to go through it little by little by little. So if that's looking at pictures from like a certain time, or listening to a few voice notes, or going through old text messages. Girl, I know you got those screenshots on your phone. I do too. But now we can use them for like the better. They're not just receipts, or maybe they are. They're receipts of our past trauma. So we can use them to actually heal. Chapter 2, acknowledge, grieve, and feel all your feelings. So now that you've brainstormed your trauma and you've kind of gone through a few emotions of it on the surface, now I want you to really dig deep into it. So take that brainstorming bubble that you've done and really look at every single point you have there and ask yourself how that made you feel. And I want you to really be honest with yourself here, and please use the wheel of emotions to allow you to really dig deep into how you feel. Okay, guys, please, no surface level things. No, this made me feel sad. Come on, girl. We know that it made you feel sad, but like, what more? Like, dig deep into it, understand what the root feeling and emotion is there, so we can actually go backwards and kind of fix that. So please really get clear on what it is and where your trauma comes from and how it makes you feel. Guys, the most important thing is learning how it makes you feel. Have you guys ever been through situations where you've like lived in a moment and there was like a deja vu feeling, or like a feeling where you're like, oh, I feel like I felt this before. I feel like I've gone through this before. A lot of the times those feelings come from your trauma, but we normally don't recognize it because we're not aware of what our traumas actually are. So it's super crucial and important to really acknowledge how you feel. Feel all of the feelings. Allow yourself to cry. Guys, if you're thinking about a past trauma and it makes you cry, let yourself cry. If you need to cry about it for an entire week, let yourself cry. Let yourself speak about it. If you need to make voice notes about it, let yourself release everything. If you need to be angry, let yourself be angry. Feel all of the emotions that you need to, because it's super necessary to literally live with it. Live with the emotions for a bit, because let's think about it. A lot of the times when we go through things, we suppress those feelings. How many times have you dated a person and then literally like a week, 2 weeks after, you're like in a new relationship? We literally don't even take time to process feelings from a previous partner before we get into a new relationship. I've done it so many times, and I realize I'm like, that is not the healthy approach to things. If we think about things in terms of a work setting, how many times have you maybe not delivered the best work, and that fed into your self-esteem and self-confidence and self-competence when it comes to your work? If we don't process how those feelings make us feel, it's going to continue to linger, and we're going to continue to feel those ways moving into the future and into future projects. And as we always say on this channel, we want to become our best selves, and our best selves would overcome the trauma. They would allow themselves to sit in this trauma, overcome it, so the future version of yourself doesn't have to deal with this. They don't have to live in unresolved feelings and feel as though life is not meaningful and life is not fulfilled. Because guys, the key to living the most authentic, beautiful life is to allow yourself to feel the lows as low as they possibly go, so you can feel the highs as high as those possibly go. Allow yourself to get through this trauma. Allow yourself to become self-aware in this process so you can have authentic, meaningful connections. Think about it. How many people get out of a relationship and get into another one? Is their next one successful? No, because they end up settling. There's a lack of boundaries. There's a lack of self-love. And honestly, when that situation comes up, more likely than not, it doesn't even work with that person. But in the first place, if that person resolved all the issues with their previous relationship, they'd be able to cultivate a better sense of self and allow them to meet a partner and attract people into their lives that are actually aligned with them and that actually serve a better purpose for them. And this goes the same way with conflicts in families. Growing up, I know a lot of us have been in situations with our parents where, there's quite a little bit of tension, quite a little bit of problems. But if you sit with it and you really think about the root cause of those, you think about how those make you feel, that can can help you cultivate more beautiful relationships with your parents, with your family, and allow yourself to overcome those traumas. Start fresh, start new, start better equipped with better mental capabilities, better boundaries, a better understanding of yourself, better communication skills, better overall everything, because you've allowed yourself to heal from that trauma and learn things from the trauma. That is the key to everything here. You need to learn from your trauma to allow yourself to actually have those better experiences in your life and attract and manifest beautiful things and opportunities and people into your life. Chapter number 3, rewrite your narrative and forgive. So now that we've acknowledged our trauma and allowed ourselves to really feel and process how we felt in those moments, we now need to rewrite our narrative and forgive ourselves and the people that treated us badly. Okay, so one of my all-time favorite quotes from The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday is, ask the universe for the power to accept what you can't control, the courage to change what you can control, and the wisdom to understand the difference. And this is fundamental to the process of overcoming your trauma and literally everything you go through in life. You have to understand that your trauma had 2 or more people involved in it, yourself and other people. You can only control you. You cannot control other people, situations, external things around you. So with that being said, you need to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to be in that situation, and you need to forgive the people and the situations externally that also played a part in this. And we'll talk a little bit about what that forgiveness means. And no, it does not mean bringing that person back into your life. All of your trauma has to be rewritten by you. What I mean by rewriting the narrative is to literally give yourself the answers. Now, a lot of trauma that we've been through, we always ask ourselves, why did this happen to me? Why is it that that person did that to me? Did I deserve that? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough? But at the end of the day, you have the answers to all of those questions. Allow yourself to give yourself the answers. If a friend didn't treat you correctly, instead of wondering why she's not your friend anymore, sit with yourself, listen to your gut, and answer the question yourself. At the end of the day, we have all the answers. We have every single answer to every single question that we ask ourselves. Why doesn't he love me? We know the answer. Why doesn't she want to be my friend? We know the answer. Why did they speak to me like that? We know the answer. Why did they not pick up my phone call? We know the answer. We know the answer to so many things. And this part is really rewriting that narrative and answering your questions, so they don't linger for like years to come and you keep all that trauma stored inside of you. The second part of this is to forgive. And forgiveness can be so difficult to do, especially when you were done wrong by other people, but it is so incredibly freeing to forgive. Forgiving doesn't mean you're surrendering. It doesn't mean that you're fighting an injustice and you really need to have justice and revenge and vengeance on other people. Forgiving actually lets you take your power back. When we're angry at somebody, or an ex has done us wrong, or a friend has gossiped about us and has made us feel terrible in the past, and we still hold all of that resentment, what is that resentment really to us? That resentment is literally you looking for justice for an injustice that was done to you. But what does that also entail? Energy. It takes so much energy to hate a person. It takes so much energy to think negatively about people and consistently think about people on an ongoing basis. However, if you acknowledge what they've done to you, you have firm boundaries, you allow yourself to really feel, process, and grow from this experience, you get peace. And peace, guys, unmatched. And I really want to let you guys know that forgiving a person does not mean that you're allowing them back into your life, that you're even validating what they did to you. No, that's past the point. Forgiving is literally for you. It's to give you peace on your future and what happened to you. It's forgiving yourself for being thrown into a situation like that and acknowledging the fact that you've learned and grown from that, and it's completely okay now. But it is not allowing that person back into your life. I really want to stress this, guys. This is not a video to let you know that people who have caused you trauma should be in your life now. No, that is not the point. People who have caused you trauma can stay in the past. They can stay in the previous versions of yourself, because remember, you are cultivating yourself to become a better version of you. And as we always say, would the best version of you have that person in their life? If the answer is no, you're not going to do it either. So always think about your future, always think about what's best for you, and think about what you're cultivating for you, and always take a learning lesson from the things that you've been through. Because guys, I said this in a previous video, everything that we go through is for a reason. The universe is not here here to throw you into situations that you can't handle. So understand that there is a learning lesson in everything you've been through, and you're going to learn it, you're going to grow from it, you're going to evolve, and you're going to become such a wonderful, beautiful individual through all of these things, through all of these processes, and let yourself have that experience. Chapter number 4, some practical ways on how you can actually help yourself get through trauma. Tip number 1, when you're going through the process of like feeling your feelings, have a journal or have like video diaries that you do to let yourself really release. You know, like talk about things, rant to yourself, allow yourself to even have voice notes if you want. I do that quite often where like I voice note something. So like I can go and listen to it in a few months and see all the progress that I've made in my life. So I really highly recommend that you do this. It is so essential to the process of releasing. We need to release things, right, in this process of healing your trauma. And these are just 2 methods that can really help you. Tip number 2, build self-talk with yourself. So basically what this is having dialogue with yourself. Let's say you're trying to implement meditation into your nighttime routine. Have about like 10 minutes to yourself where you talk to yourself. Ask yourself, how are you feeling today? How do you feel about this specific situation? How are you doing when it comes to healing your trauma? How is your progress looking like? Really ask yourself questions and talk to yourself as though you were talking to your friend. Really build that beautiful relationship with yourself to allow you to really release feelings, talk about things, process how you feel about certain things, and process what you go through on a day-to-day basis. This is also going to strengthen that relationship that you have with yourself. Tip number 3, take care of yourself. Okay guys, take care of yourself physically during this process of overcoming your trauma and also mentally. So make sure you're getting adequate amount of sleep, make sure that you're moving your body, make sure that you're showering. Allow yourself to really take care of yourself, okay? Not quick showers where you take a 2-minute shower, but like showers where you actually wash yourself. You take care of your body, you love your body, give yourself love. Love your body, love your mental state, allow yourself to really bring in wonderful information, whether that be self-love affirmations or spend time with you. I have a friend that says the most wonderful thing. She says, take care of yourself as though you're taking care of another person. Because when we're taking care of another person, we like spend so much time and energy and like wanting to make them feel good, right? But like do that for yourself. Give back to yourself. Give yourself that love. Give yourself that energy. Feed yourself, protect and pamper yourself. Tip number 4, speak it into existence. One of the things I strongly believe in is the universe and manifestations. And I think that when you speak things into existence, they literally can come true. So I highly recommend speak it into existence, okay? Literally say, I am a healed person. I have overcome trauma on this issue. I am a better version of myself because I am, and literally write that down, speak it into existence, believe it so much that at one point you become that person. For example, if you've gone through trauma in your childhood where maybe your parents made you feel like you weren't enough because of the grades you brought home or whatnot, I want you to tell yourself you are enough. Speak it into existence. You are enough. You trust people. You appreciate your solitude. You do not feel alone. Speak those things into existence, into yourself, and at one point it will become true because you'll start to practice that. You'll start to practice things that allow yourself to overcome that, and you'll also speak it into existence so much that you'll start to really believe it, and that is the key to everything here. Sometimes you really just need to reassure yourself. You need to love yourself and pour into yourself so that you can believe these things about you. And number 5, fundamentally change yourself. So what this means is if you don't have a morning routine, if you don't have a night routine, put those together. If you don't have like a movement schedule where it involves maybe the gym or home workouts or things like that, put that together. The more that you see yourself transform into the better version of yourself as you're healing this trauma, you're literally gonna put it behind you because you're gonna realize, I'm not even that person anymore. That person that went through all of those things, I am not them anymore. And it's gonna give you such a high sense of comfort in knowing that you have taken the necessary steps to better your life and you're in the process of becoming the best version of yourself. And I really urge you to document that process. Allow yourself to have video diaries, take pictures of everything. Let yourself have all of that stuff so that you can look back and see how far you've come. See how far you've been able to get through things and how much you've been able to overcome and change your life for the better. Believe in yourself because at the end of the day, you are your best friend. You are your biggest fan. You are literally the person that has been there with you from the very beginning, and that will remain like that till the very end. Alright, so that is all for our video today on overcoming trauma. I really hope this was a helpful kind of step-by-step guide that'll help you overcome your trauma, especially when therapy is not an option. This is just everything I've learned through my year of going to therapy and just things that I've kind of compiled for you guys with a few resources that I'll link in the description as well to help you process while you're working through your trauma. I believe in you, I know you can do it, and I'll see you next time.